These twins, born from black and African parents, have different colored skins. A few years later, something shocking happens to them. Daniel and David had been born via cesarean section. When their mother Stacy had gone for an ultrasound, doctors had detected the presence of perfectly healthy twins. For Stacy and her husband Babajide, the news was delightful. They already had a 4-year-old daughter, Demilede, whom they showered with love and attention. But they longed for more children. So the news that they were having twins was enough to make them joyful. On the day of the birth, Stacy was under general anesthesia when doctors pulled the babies from her womb. Daniel was brought to light first and appeared just as expected. He was a typical black baby, like his parents, with a dark skin tone, brown eyes, and curly black hair. After him came David, and when the doctors saw him, they remained silent. David was not at all what they expected. He was Daniel's twin brother and the son of these parents, but he did not look like them. David was totally white, and his hair was golden. How could this have been possible? Doctors wondered how twins could be so different. Did not the same sperm and egg conceive them? The moment the second question entered the doctor's mind, he could no longer get it out of his head. He had only recently read about a rare case of heteropaternal superfecundation. This is a phenomenon in which a woman gives birth to twins, but with 2 different fathers. This is possible if the woman releases multiple eggs during ovulation and has intercourse with 2 different men in the same cycle. This can lead to fertilization of 2 eggs by sperm from 2 different men, which would give birth to twins with different biological fathers. However, the supposition implied that Stacy had cheated on her husband. But she banished this thought in advance. The best thing to do was to talk to the couple. When Stacy woke up, hours after the surgery, there was a nurse in the room with her. She asked her for some water and, after quenching her thirst, asked to see their children. The nurse thought it would be good to warn her before bringing the children, and so she did. Stacy stared at her, frowning. Did the nurse really say that one of her children was white and had golden hair? What did that mean? She demanded to see the twins first. Stacy's eyes threatened to pop out of their sockets when 2 nurses brought her babies to her. She asked if they were sure both were hers. The nurses confidently affirmed that they were. They had been in the labor room when Stacy had given birth. Somewhat doubtful, Stacy called her husband Babajide. When he arrived, she showed him the twins, and it was clear from his expression that he had mixed feelings. Babajide had already seen the twins while his wife was sleeping. He had been shocked by what had happened, but with a heart throbbing with love for his little ones. He did not think for a second that there could be a mistake, either by the doctors or by Stacy. He only knew that his wife and children were in good health. The couple met with the doctors to find out why David looked like that. The doctors began to ask about the relationship between the couple and how the past 10 months had unfolded. The question was bizarre, but the couple answered it. Their relationship, as open-minded as possible, was very good, and their communication was excellent. As for reciprocal attraction, it was as strong as when they were newly married. Otherwise, they could not have conceived the twins. Carefully, the doctor addressed the topic of heteropaternal superfecundation. Stacy was so shocked by this insinuation that she began to stutter. However, a part of her was glad that the doctor had brought up the matter, because she suspected that the thought of his infidelity had crossed Babajide's mind. She did not want that unpleasant uncertainty to be projected onto their marriage and break the trust between them. When the doctor suggested that she take a blood test to confirm the paternity of both children, she agreed without hesitation. After the results of the blood test confirmed that Babajide was indeed the twins' father, he clearly breathed a sigh of relief. He trusted Stacy completely, but he was glad to have further proof. Once this was established, the doctors examined David closely, and all the clues clearly revealed that he was an albino. An albino is a person with a condition called albinism. Albinism is a genetic condition characterized by a lack of melanin, the pigment responsible for skin, hair, and eye color. The cause of albinism is a mutation in one of several genes involved in the production of melanin, or its transport within cells. Stacy and Babajid were stunned. How could their son be an albino when there were no albinos in any of their families? Fully understanding the couple's concern, because even as doctors, they had never seen anything like this in twins, the doctors struggled to educate the couple to the best of their capabilities. Usually, most albino children inherit by an autosomal recessive manner. This means that both parents carry a mutated gene, although they themselves are not albinos. But once the parents are carriers, there is a 25% chance that the child of each pregnancy will inherit the 2 copies of the mutated gene and exhibit albinism. So, they had to be carriers of the gene causing David's albinism. David would then have been subject to certain health issues and would have needed special care. Lack of melanin causes very pale skin that burns easily, white and golden hair, and rose-colored eyes. In addition, it can cause vision problems, including involuntary eye movements and a certain sensitivity to light. The doctor made them understand that albinism is something that can happen to anyone, regardless of their ethnic group or race. In fact, the phenomenon also affects animals. For every 15,000 babies born, one of them is likely to be an albino. There is currently no cure for albinism, but the good news is that the symptoms cannot get worse. With proper care, including sun protection, vision correction, and general support, they can lead happy and fulfilling lives. In Nigeria, where the couple lived, there was one of the highest rates of albinism in the world, with more than 2 million estimated albinos in the country. However, albinos were still regarded as anomalous entities. When people saw one, they would stare at him or her very carefully. To some Nigerians, an albino was not a normal human being. They considered them to hold magical powers or to be evil beings. For this reason, some openly discriminated against them or even attacked them. Moreover, in some communities with little consciousness, an individual with albinism was treated as an outcast simply because of their appearance. These communities went so far as to consider them second-class citizens, not entitled to enjoy basic human rights. This even led to cases of abhorrent treatment of albinos. Albinos were subjected to rituals, severe bullying at school, harassment in the workplace, and mockery. Stacy had personally witnessed 1 or 2 of these cases, and at the time had not let it affect her, dismissing the incident as being a common prejudice. But now that she had an albino son whom she loved deeply, she was very concerned. How would people consider him? Would he have fit in well out there among others? It was also true that Stacy and his family lived in Lagos, which compared to many communities had a high percentage of educated people who would not discriminate against David. But people could also be unfairly cruel. Stacy was disturbed by this fact. She confided in her husband, and he held her close, assuring her that they would protect their son no matter what. Contrary to the sad expectations of the couple in the hospital, the twins inspired much admiration. Nurses crowded into Stacy's room to see the twins, and they complimented their beauty. They had nothing but words of praise for the twins. Stacy felt comforted that her babies were not considered freaks. She and Babajid had already decided that no matter what, they would love and protect their babies unconditionally. 4 days after giving birth, Stacy returned home. Like the nurses at the hospital, the neighbors were stunned by the twins' appearance. They kept complimenting the boys, especially David, calling him Oyinbo, which means white man. Twins like these were rare, and Stacy believed they were one of a kind. She had never seen anything like them, and so did the other people they met. Their 4-year-old daughter Demilade wondered why David looked like that. Her parents patiently explained this condition to her, and she was fascinated. She thought it was the most extraordinary thing that could exist. Her only concern was health problems. She did not want her little brother to be in trouble. It was in this way that Demilade who began to pay close attention to any signs of David's discomfort. If she noticed that David was blinking too much because of the light, she would lower it or turn it off. Whenever he ate, he would observe him to make sure the food did not cause any undesirable effects. David could not eat all foods because of his albinism, so his family members were careful about what they gave him to eat. As Daniel and David grew older, people's admiration for them increased. Stacy was a fashion designer and often dressed the twins in beautiful matching outfits. When people saw them, they complimented the brothers and the clothes. People wanted the same clothes the children wore, and Stacy would sell them. Her business experienced a boom thanks to her own children. It was through these experiences that she saw an opportunity to enhance the children's value on the web. She had a feeling they would be successful. After consulting with Babajide and pondering the issue, she decided to proceed with opening up Instagram and TikTok pages for the children. A few months after doing so, the children had managed to gain an impressive following of 18,000 followers and become celebrities on Instagram. People were inspired by their journey, their unique looks, and their wonderful personalities. Their amplified visibility allowed them to obtain several contracts with prestigious brands. A skincare company specifically designed for albinos sent the free product to David. The product worked wonderfully, and Stacy reviewed it with an online video to support the company's mission. The turning point in the twins' journey came when a London-based photo brand discovered the twins on social media. Attracted by their charming features and heartwarming story, it approached Stacy, offering the babies the opportunity to become models. For the family, it was a dream come true and another exciting chapter in their lives. With all the love the twins were receiving, Stacy and Babajide relaxed a bit, unaware that something terrible was about to occur. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. It all began when the twins started preschool. From the first day, they were excited to make new friends and play together. They were only 4 years old. David was the tallest of the twins. The height difference meant nothing to the boys, who remained side by side as usual. However, after a few weeks of school, they both noticed that something was wrong. Their classmates were acting badly toward David for no reason at all. Usually, the boys always sat together, but on this particular morning, a classmate approached them and told David to find another seat because he wanted to sit next to Daniel. This classmate was a notorious bully who often made the other children cry. David was a little scared, but he lifted his chin and refused. The bully became angry. He pushed David off the chair. David, shocked, stood up and asked why he had pushed him. He had done nothing wrong to sit next to his brother, but his classmate scolded him, saying he did not look like his twin and was lying. He asked David to stop pretending to be Daniel's brother as everyone knew he was adopted. However, no one in the class came to David's rescue. From that day, they snickered behind his back, calling him a liar and adopted. They seemed to be having fun, but they really hurt David's feelings. Daniel tried to make him feel better by offering him a snack and playing with him during the break, since nobody else wanted to be with him. But David knew that no matter what his brother might do, Daniel would not be able to prevent their classmates from treating him as an outcast. Their teachers were not helping the situation. They were aware of the children's treatment of David, the albino twin, but they turned a blind eye and did not try to correct their classmates. Although Daniel was not a target because he was like the others, he was just as sad as David because he felt hurt by his classmates. They both began to lose weight, and their interest in school faded. They did not want to tell their parents what was going on because their classmates had threatened to be meaner to David if they reported it. The situation reached a critical point when the end of the trimester approached and the children had to prepare a school play. David was best suited for the lead role, and since the teacher running the drama unit was fair, she decided to give him the role. David was enthusiastic and at home. It was all he had talked about for weeks. But on the day of the presentation, Stacy and Babajide noticed that Daniel was playing the part and that David was quite angry. However, Daniel seemed to have intentionally boycotted the performance, acting listlessly in protest. When the parents confronted the children, they justified themselves with lame excuses, and the teachers did the same. At that point, parents began to link the various elements together and noticed that their children had not been the same for some time. They were forced to take drastic measures. Babajid worked in a print shop but had a wide range of connections. Babajid's counterpart had asked one of them to put a camera in a backpack for the children's school. This person also loved kids, so he joined Babajid's plan. They installed a small camera in Daniel's backpack and gave David a toy watch, which was actually a voice recorder. Through these devices, the parents discovered the heartbreaking truth. There was a video of the bully child pushing David. Daniel and David were eating lunch alone, looking sad, and the teacher ignored David every time he asked a question while answering everyone else. The worst part was when the teacher punished David unfairly. And just to make him angry, she told him that she would behave like that as long as he stayed in this school. The bad teacher later confessed that herself was the very reason why David had not gotten the lead role in the play. She had met the drama teacher and told her lies about David. She said that David was too proud, that he did not relate well to the other children, and that his skin tone distracted from the play. She had advised the drama teacher to go with Daniel, since they were brothers and both good performers. Although the drama teacher had later regretted her decision, since Daniel had deliberately chosen to play the role in a lousy way. The drama teacher did not care. He got what he wanted. But, completely without his awareness, the recorded voice on David's watch reported everything. When Stacy and Babajidi listened, they burst into tears. The injustice of the whole thing was just too much. They involved the school authorities and the police. The school authorities fired the detestable teacher and expelled the bully. Later, the police arrested the teacher for harming the child under her responsibility. She had to pay a high bail before being released. The twins' parents also withdrew the boys from that school and enrolled them in a better one. The new school welcomed children of all skin colors and backgrounds. The twins were well liked and in a short time regained their bright personalities. Unable to let the bullying incident, which could have been much more serious if they had not found out, pass, Stacy reported the experience online. People were outraged at the teacher and school authorities for not doing their best to protect the children under their care. Many positive comments flowed in support of Stacy and the twins. People must learn to love and accept others no matter what they look like. I am glad you discovered and saved your children in time. They could have ignored each other, but instead they stuck together. You have raised really good kids. This comment was to be commended. Many others were similar to this one. As their 5th birthday approached, this is what happened to them. After a while, the family was able to put the unpleasant incident of school bullying behind them, focusing instead on the twins' upcoming birthday, February 26th. The parents had prepared many matching outfits for them, ranging from tracksuits to dark blue jackets. They wore matching shoes and posed accordingly. Stacy, in posting the photos on Instagram, received many appreciations. People all over the world wished the boys a happy birthday. Both were looking forward to the bright future ahead of them. The boys had never stopped strengthening the bond that united them, and whenever their story is narrated, people are inspired by it. Our appearance does not define ourselves, but rather the love we are willing to spread to others. Did you enjoy this story? What would you have done in this situation? Were the parents of the twins right to behave this way? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you like the story, please subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Thanks to the togetherness of this wonderful family, everything turned out for the best, and truth and justice finally triumphed. Bye, thanks for listening, and see you next time.